Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be something a little bit different. So obviously with all of the outrage essentially at the fact that Apple have reduced the contents of the box, but basically removed certain items, the earbuds, the charging brick from basically any new iPhones, not just this year's, any iPhones that they're actually selling will all come in smaller retail packaging. Basically what I wanted to do was just take a look at some of the boxes of some of the phones that I still have, and take a look at basically what essentially came with them and what is still in the original packaging. So these are my iPhone 5. So the first phones I actually had were the iPhone 4s. As you can see, these ones, let me just, yeah, that's a bit better. So these ones, back then I used to use everything because I'd only had one generation of phone prior to that. So with this one, everything was used, earbuds, charging brick, cable, the lot. This obviously would have been around about the same time when I purchased that iPad as well. So that's an iPad 3, I believe. With this one, as you can see, charging brick still in its original packaging. So one was used, one wasn't. Because of the age of these, what I'll do is I'll take a look at the iPad next, because this, I believe, is A1460. So I believe this is like 3rd gen iPad or 4th gen. So as you can see, this one was from Argos. Still has the original cable in it. We did use the charging brick. In the UK it comes in 2 parts, so essentially you get the adapter and then you get the main brick. Original cable still in the box. Just pop that back in. After that, what we'll do is we'll just take a quick look at the Apple TVs. And as you can see, these ones, this is how I like to keep things, so keep it in its, even where possible, obviously with the newer devices, because of the way they unwrap, you can't keep the film on. So with this one, what do we have? So that would have been the original sort of sleeve it came in. As you can see, the original cable still in there. This, I believe, probably would have been the power brick connector sort of thing. So chuck that back in there. And I'm guessing the other one will be a very similar story. So drop that down. So this one still has the original wrap around it as well. This one, same thing. Let's get rid of all that rubbish. And we'll take a look at, this was the original iPad Air. So this one doesn't have the Touch ID. It doesn't even show up on most of the systems when you try and do trade-ins and stuff with Apple. So this one, as you can see, the original brick, try not to destroy everything, the original brick is still unused. And just out of curiosity, what was this? So this is a 12 volt charging brick, and original cable still not used. So that's that one. Right, let's move on to iPhone 6s Plus. I actually had 2 of these. One of them I sold when we upgraded. So this one, original brick, original earbuds, which look a bit faded, and original cable as well. So for anybody out there crying who needs some earbuds, I should have quite a few pairs here. Next one along is the 7s Plus. Sorry, the 7 Plus. 7s isn't actually a thing, is it? Similar thing with this. So charging brick, and as you can see, hopefully, it is still in its original sort of plastic wrap. It's never been used. They changed up to the paper card. Now, yeah, so the one thing that would be used on these ones is the adapters. One I believe my kids used, one I'm actually using with this rig setup with my Rode wireless microphone. Original cable still never used. So I think out of these, this one and so that was the 7 from, oh, let me just drop that back in there as well. And normally I like to keep the boxes and everything in pristine condition, so then when I come around to selling it, I can basically give them a better experience in terms of what they're unboxing. Move from the 7, I went straight to the 10. Never bought the 8 or any of the variants of the 8. So once again, the original power adapter, you can see the sleeve is still on there. Once again, the paper style earbuds and the little adapter lightning to headphone jack adapter has been used. Original cable is still in the box. Moving on, after that it was the XS Max. Let's see what we have in here. And by the way, I'm not sure what you're actually meant to do with Apple stickers. I know people put them on cars and stuff like that. I've never used one of these Apple stickers. I really don't know what the point is apart from free advertising, but there we go. Still in the original sleeve, once again paper style. This one no longer comes with the adapter, they stopped them. This was obviously 3 years after they'd got rid of the headphone jack. Original cable still in the box. So this essentially has everything unused as it came. And then for now, for me anyway, the latest box, obviously going back to the black box, we'll be seeing more of this in the coming days. This one was a little different, yeah, so once again, nothing used, or Apple stickers and everything still in there. The charging cable and the charging brick on this one, because this actually came with a fast charger and it came with a USB-C to Lightning, this one I did actually use. This one I actually used to charge my iPad up mostly, this particular iPad, which is still in use. Earbuds, once again, have never been used. So, I don't know why that doesn't fit in there. Probably because it needs to go there. And just put that back in. And whilst I do have more sets of AirPods, they're basically tucked away somewhere. They're not in this. So this is my sort of Aladdin's cave box that I actually keep everything in. And all of this sort of stuff fits in there because nothing else would fit in there. It meant that everything else is stored somewhere else. So essentially with this, what we got was a lightning cable, which is still unused. So for the most part, and once again, if I can find them, should have, yeah, there we go. No? Well, if they're in here, they're unused anyway. The Apple stickers, I think they were right at the back. Let's pop that back in there. Okay, so out of this relative collection of Apple items, as well as this, what you have to remember is I also have 2 other sets of AirPods. I've had the 4 and 4S iPhones prior to that. I also had an older, I think it was the 2nd gen, it was the one just before the Retina display. I had that iPad as well, that one we sold. And I had an original Apple TV as well. Apple TVs, to be fair, usually there's nothing else in those boxes anyway. But yeah, out of all of this, as you can see, most items I've not used the charging brick or the original cables. They're still in the boxes. And as I said, it may be controversial, but for me personally, and I mean me personally, because my wife has destroyed many a lightning cable down the years, but for me personally, I've never actually had a lightning cable fail on me. Maybe it's just because I'm more careful with my gadgets. The fact that I can run these devices pretty much case-free or a very slim case on all of my phones generally tells you that basically I'm very careful with my devices. So it could possibly be that I'm very careful with the way I insert the cable and take it out, which is why I've never had any damage, which is why I've never had to use any of these particular cables. What I also did was, because in certain rooms I've got multiple things, so for example, just hide them behind there, try not to knock the camera over. Just down there you can see a wireless charger. So if I've got a wireless charger as well as the clock and maybe some other things that I want to plug in, rather than using an individual Apple adapter, I'll get a multi-port plug, because that way you're only inserting one plug, and obviously it can regulate whether you need more power or if you need less power. So for that reason, obviously down the years I've just never used any of the items that are actually in these boxes. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but essentially what it comes down to is I do want to premise this video by saying I don't agree with manufacturers taking stuff out of the box and giving you less for your money. However, by next year, every manufacturer, or at least at the very latest, by the year after, because obviously production methods and timing and everything, it varies for every manufacturer out there. But I would guess that at the most, in 2 years' time, most manufacturers are going to remove the headphones, and they're also going to remove the charging brick. Is that a problem for me? As you can see, clearly not. Most of the people in my household who use headphones have wireless headphones, for the simple reason that they're so much more convenient. You can literally just, obviously with your normal ones, the box is about that big. With the Pros, they're squashed and a bit longer, but basically they fit anywhere. You can slip them in your pocket, you don't have to worry about it. They charge very fast. Basically most of my chargers, Qi chargers, you just chuck it on there and it'll charge overnight. With regards to things like the headphone jack, and also some people have mentioned that, oh, they don't like the fact that the Pros have gone back to having a different spec for the Max as opposed to the normal Pro. Now this I also disagree with, because it doesn't make sense for you to limit the technology that you put into the Max, hence the name Max, just because basically some people out there don't want to buy the biggest one or don't want to pay the extra money. That is what you're paying the extra money for. You're paying it. So I would rather than having a headphone jack, I mean, me personally, I'm at the stage where I'd be happy if they got rid of the lightning port, use that space for extra battery, and then gave me the best camera available. That is what I care about in a smartphone. I want it to last as long. I want the biggest screen possible, because obviously I'm taking photos, videos, and doing editing on the phone. And basically I want the best camera technology available, and it doesn't make sense for me to limit the camera capabilities of a device like this because somebody wants it to fit in a device this size. That doesn't make any sense to me. The people that want a phone this size clearly aren't prioritizing the same thing that people who want a phone this size are. So that's what Apple are catering for. They're obviously taking advantage of the more space in the 12 Pro Max. 12 Pro Maxes are ordered, by the way, so I will have a couple of videos come in. What I ended up going for was one for myself and one for my wife. So I'll have a few videos on that coming. So as I say, this was more of an illustration of my personal circumstance. Obviously not everybody's going to be in this same sort of situation. I'll be very surprised if everybody had this many devices lying around. Some of these aren't even used. This one we gave away. This one I use as a test device for whenever I'm doing jailbreak videos and things like that. This is basically my test device that I install all the jailbreaks on. This one my daughter's using literally just as a toy, and to be able to basically call her aunties whenever she wants to. So out of all of these, obviously you got this one, this one, this one, this one that are actually in full-time use. This one's used occasionally. This one was also repaired. So that's another thing that I just want to quickly touch on. Value for money. So obviously £1,400 This one was around 40, yeah, that was around £1,400. This one I believe was around £1,200. This one going back I think was only around 800 or 900. This one was probably a bit less, I think it was about 7 or 8. And these were a little cheaper. Now, this device is still in use. All I've done to this particular device was change the battery, which I bought off Amazon for, I think it was about £10, and it came with like the full kit and everything to change the battery with. This device probably could do with a battery change, but it works perfectly well. This one is showing a battery sort of symbol. So that one could probably do with one sooner or later, but because we're getting 2 new 12s, both of these devices are going to get passed down. So essentially this one, possibly this one will all be up for sale anyway. And these devices could easily be used by other people for many years to come. So when it comes to value for money, you can't look at it unless you're the kind of person who literally buys a phone and never upgrades, or on the flip side you buy the new one every year like I do and you have no one to pass it on to. Then essentially what you then have to look at is resale value, and the resale value of iPhones is always, without fail, higher than any Android manufacturer out there. And you can go out and you can check second-hand prices. This device, so the iPhone 10, a 4-year-old device now, is still selling for between £350 and £400. Yes, it cost, and that's for the 256, because this one only came in 256, so it was 64, 128 I believe, and then 256. So that's for the highest model, but essentially that's what this is. All of these, I always go for the highest model for that reason, for resale value, and to be basically to future-proof the device for bigger apps, things like that, upgrades to the camera technology where you might be able to get higher bitrate video using third-party apps, all that kind of stuff. So I always go for the highest memory model. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, 4-year-old device. Yeah, it cost a lot to start with, I think, because this one, obviously when it came out, it was the 999, because this was the first £1,000 iPhone, and then because I bought the most expensive one, this one would have been around 1200 or 1299, something like that. May have been a little bit cheaper because I think the tax rates in the UK actually went up slightly because of the stupidity of the British people and Brexit, but that's a whole different topic anyway. But yeah, so £1,200, but 4 years later this is still worth probably around a quarter, well, a third of its value, whereas there will not be any £1,000 Android phone out there that after 4 years is still going to sell for a third of its value. So I mean, that tells you everything. Aside from that, obviously you have the ecosystem where every single one of these products, and I mean every single one of these products, talks to each other. They work perfectly. You literally switch between devices without even thinking about it. You have HomeKit, which for anybody who's watched my channel will know that is massive for me. HomeKit is one of the biggest things that actually keeps me in the Apple ecosystem. And then you obviously have apps like LumaFusion, Infuse and things like that that work cross-platform for me and basically enable me to bring this channel to life. Essentially, I wouldn't have been able to do this channel if it wasn't for apps like LumaFusion. So yeah, a bit of a longer video today, but hopefully it's a bit more context. I do get a lot of comments about various different things, and whilst sometimes I can try and reply back to them, sometimes it's better to just make a video like this showcasing case in point, where basically they have a point. Are they doing it for this very reason? Are Apple removing the charging brick and the headphones for this very reason? No, they're doing it to make money. But at the end of the day, that doesn't deny the fact that if you're trying to ship a box this big and then you can ship a box that's half the size, that means you can instantly ship twice as many phones. So even if you don't think about the environmental impact in terms of charging bricks, the transportation, which is obviously still a massive thing, of these devices from where they're manufactured in China around the world, it's still halved. So basically you can double the amount of devices. Everybody complains on release day that they missed out on the new iPhone. This shrinking the box, it means that they can now have twice as many iPhones in the same location in the same amount of time. Can production keep up with that in this year of all years? Possibly not. But obviously, like I say, there's more factors to this. Have they done it primarily for the environment? No. But does the environment benefit because of it? Yes, it does. And because they will now impact every manufacturer out there, or rather other manufacturers will jump on the bandwagon because most of them were probably looking to do something very similar anyway, but weren't brave enough to do it. Whereas when Apple do it, yeah, they'll get stick from everyone, but Apple can take it. Whereas somebody like Samsung with their Note fiasco and even the Fold fiascos, I don't think they're in a position where they could have done this, but literally within weeks of it more or less becoming confirmed from all the leakers and the Twitter accounts out there, there was already rumours popping up on Twitter saying that the S21 and basically the next Note phones won't come with the charging brick and headphones. People actually had devices sent out this year from Samsung that didn't have those particular items in the box, and it was only after they reached out to Samsung that Samsung gave them an option where they could request it and it'll be sent out. I don't know if they were charged extra for that or whether it was basically included, but as you can see, it's not just Apple that are doing it. It's not just Apple who are thinking about it. At the end of the day, like I said on one of my other videos, the 12 Pros, well, all the 12s are going to come with 5G. Every Android manufacturer out there has instantly slapped £200 on top of every single handset price for 5G. Apple haven't done that. They've compensated that by being smart and thinking, okay, where can we save money without giving you an inferior product, without taking away features? Then that's what they did. No, not everybody's going to agree with that. I, for the most part, agree with most of it, but like I say, they've done it for the money at the end of the day, but it does still benefit us because we can still buy the iPhones this year at the same price as they were last year for the higher end models. Yes, I understand that the mini came in and that's obviously meant that the normal 12 has actually gone up in price, but that's basically how industries work. You always have loss leaders in industry, and basically that is obviously to entice the sales, and then obviously your sort of premium products is usually where you're not going to sell as much volume, but basically it's going to bring in the same it'll level out. And obviously if you're predicting 90 million units for iPhones for the iPhone 12s in a calendar year essentially, then obviously overall it's going to balance out for them, and hopefully further down the line we're going to benefit, because if they've managed to keep the cost down by doing those things, hopefully by the time production resumes and goes back to normal, then they might be able to pull that production price down a bit more, and basically next year hopefully we won't be seeing no emissions from basically what you're getting in terms of spec, in terms of camera upgrades, things like that, because that's what I care about. That's why I upgrade every year. So yeah, a bit of a longer video, but let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on everything you've seen in this video. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. Roughly around 90% of my viewers at the moment aren't actually subscribed, so hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos coming out.